It's the Friendly Fire Show, episode 241 for the middle of July 2023. I am one of your co-hosts, Steve Wright, joining me, Mr. Ben Salter. Hi, Ben. How's your week going?
Going good. I had a roof guy. The roof guy came. He broke my gate to get into my house to fix the roof. A bit of a debacle because he turned up. To be fair to him, the first roof guy turned up and he's like, "Oh, here's your problem. I don't want the job," and then he just left. And I didn't know you could do that as a person. Um, Second guy, Moses the roofer, he turned up. He did a patch job. Then he turned up again on the weekend to finish it, and it's raining. And he's like, an hour later, it's like, "Oh, it's raining." Like, yeah, we knew that when you started. It's like, I'll be back this afternoon when the rain stops. Sun came out, perfect conditions, never showed up. Then he's like, "I'll come back tomorrow," being Sunday, never showed up. Then on Tuesday, we got a text being like, "I'm coming over now." Like, well, no one's home. The dog's out. I think the gate's locked. And he's like, "Don't worry about it." Turns out he just unscrewed the gate and let himself in. Anyway, the roof's been fixed. I don't know about that. Yeah.
Did you have a
What to
hole
unpack?
in your roof? Like, what, the whole time that this was happening?
No. Just the flashing has cracked on the corner of one part. Apparently, it needs to be replaced every 15 years. This is a homeowner issue. I didn't know that. Anyway, fixed. Yes.
Well, our dishwasher broke, but then I fixed it by having to, stick my hand into, murky gray water in, and you know that there's not going to be a monster down the creep dark hole that you can't see, but you also wouldn't be surprised if something snapped up and you got pulled down into the dishwasher, like some really bad D-grade horror movie, which didn't happen. So
yeah, well, you did it. Anyhow, expensive roof fixes for a problem I didn't even know existed and I can see no benefit of means I can't buy anything in Prime Day because I spent all my money, but it is a great time. I think as of recording, it's on now, or it was just on recently. It's like the time to buy stuff. It really just reminds me, don't buy stuff at launch because it's cheap, 3 to 6 months later.
yeah, but yeah, did you really find? You didn't buy anything? Did you contemplate buying something? I almost bought a Galaxy 22 Ultra for $600 off, and I'm like, I did the mum meme thing. It's like, you don't need a Galaxy S23 Ultra. You have a perfectly capable Galaxy S22 Ultra at home.
Were you buying this, which is a Galaxy X21 Ultra?
No, it's literally just a 22. It's the second newest phone.
Oh, you're going to buy the same phone?
No, I was going to buy a 23, and I have a 22.
Ah, got it.
Sorry, I probably said the
fair.
same number twice. My bad.
Yeah, it's confusing. I might have to move away from Galaxy because of that, because I've been with them too long. No, I didn't really. I probably would have bought a PS5 for $700 if I didn't already have two. And now that the disc model prices come down, I kind of wish I didn't buy a digital one as the second one, because I've locked myself into never using it because I can't play disc games on it, or I just buy all games digital because of it. That was a short-sighted decision back when it seemed like, yeah, that would make sense. But that said, you don't need two consoles. Must be nice. First world problems, all that stuff, absolutely. But if you did have a PS5, they're $700 now for a disc one. Yeah. So that was a good deal. The Switch was $350. That's a pretty good deal.
Sorry, you get $50. You would have gotten $50 of Amazon credit, but we're talking about things that have already happened. So I'll shut up. You were talking about a Switch.
Switch is cheap, so the consoles were cheap. I didn't see any Xbox deals, so I don't know what they're doing. Nintendo games were under $50, which never happened. So there's a bunch of stuff you could have gotten. It's just that I buy all these things at launch and then play them. So it's really just a reminder that don't necessarily have to buy things day one. I'm yet to even start Star Wars Funky Beardman's Adventure, whatever that's called. Jedi Survivor, that it? And I'm really looking forward to it, but I just haven't had time. So maybe I could have waited for that. That was cheap, I think. It's you get caught up in the moment of I need to buy this thing at launch, but I don't really have time to play all these games. So it was probably a great day for people who hadn't bought everything already.
Yeah. Oh, it's very first world problems. And I've stopped listening to Kara Swisher's podcast because it was her and Professor Scott Galloway just talking about oh, I just logged into Threads and I just keep getting thousands of new followers every 10 seconds. I'm ugh, so privileged. Shut up, I don't want to hear it. But I'm going into that video game style now. I was contemplating pre-ordering Alan Wake 2 just to get the pre-order bonuses, knowing full well that like I know people at Remedy and I will definitely get a review copy ahead of release. But I'm like, ooh, but I won't get those pre-order bonuses if I don't buy it. And I almost bought a game that I desperately do not need to buy. Yeah, so it's that thing of just that FOMO, I think. Like, ooh, I want it now. I can get it right now.
Yeah. I mean, there's literally no point in ever pre-ordering a digital game. There's no risk of them running out. So it's just that digital, often nonsense bonus, which is, it's trying to create FOMO for something where there's no fear at all of you missing out. There's no stock limits at all. Like the last game I couldn't get physically because it had sold out was Halo 3. So that was 2007. Like every retailer in the mall had sold out of it. Since then, I can't remember that happening. So even physical, that's not really a big deal anymore. But yeah, they still get people. I would say the only time you'd ever want to pre-order is maybe like a few hours before it releases just to get that bonus. Like there's no need to be paying for like Starfield or whatever now.
Yeah, well, and especially it's the pre-order bonus is a good thing to take advantage of if you know like you're gonna like the game. If it's a sequel or something, it's Starfield, even like you've played a Bethesda RPG, you're probably. It's not the same setting as a Fallout, but you have like a reasonable idea of what to expect, which is also why we don't believe that it's going to be bug-free by any stretch. So, it works in both ways. But yeah, if it's a new kind of IP that you're not sure you're going to like at all, and you want the pre-order stuff, don't do it early. Wait till the review embargo for most games is before the game is released, so you can at least go and read some reviews and make an informed decision. And if the review embargo for a game is like the launch of the game, there's probably a reason for that
after.
too. Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, or even just like there's no point handing over your cash now. Like it's not going anywhere. So in the event that you really want to play Spider-Man or whatever the big game is in November, may as well pay it like a day before, because what if you get a big weird hole in your roof and you need to spend $1,000 fixing it? Maybe you shouldn't buy Spider-Man then. So you need to keep your cash free is my advice.
There you go. God, we are so old. It's so old.
That's
which
right.
is fitting, because you want to talk about a game that you don't play so much as like literally sleep through. So I would please take it away. What is this?
Well, the things I do for this podcast, Steve, I tried Pokemon Sleep last night, which is a game, but it's kind of a game. It's as I was saying earlier in this episode, it's hard to find time as you get older in your daily schedule to play games. So Nintendo had found a way to get you playing games while you sleep, or at least achieving something. Now, I think you'd like it because it's so heavily gamified. Like you're getting stats, you're getting numbers, you're beating yourself, you're getting your score up there, all the stuff you love. What it actually is hard to explain. So it's in open beta at the moment. It's not actually released. It's, I think, only around for a few days in Australia, at least on Android. So it's kind of a test at the moment.
I think by the time people hear this, it might already be, the beta might be done, or like very close to being finished. But anyway, sorry, I digress. Continue, please.
Yeah, well, so essentially there's too much story at the start, which is not surprising. I skipped through all that. There's a professor dude, new guy, not Oak, some other bloke. He's got a Snorlax for you, which makes sense, Pokemon Sleep. And he wants you to basically sync your sleep schedule to Snorlax's to help attract other Pokemon, which you then kind of put in your Pokemon Sleep decks, and you kind of tracking the different ways Pokemon sleep. And then you collect them, and it's catch 'em all situation. That's the game side of it, at least the very start. I think there's more to it as you progress. You move to different islands and things and different Snorlaxes.
Is it what you have to do Snorlax?
Well, Snorlax is the main Pokemon, but then you're capturing all the others. Him sleeping and you syncing your sleep to him draws in other Pokemon. And that's what you're trying to get. Pokemon Go style. But instead of catching them in real life, you're catching them in your sleep. Like, you don't have to leave the house.
And then can you switch to like Eevee and then you have to sleep like 23 hours a day, or because it's a cat? That's the joke.
I don't think that's part of it. You certainly can befriend Eevee and whatever, and how you sleep might attract Eevee or it might not. That's part of it. You're going to have some bad sleeps, otherwise you're only going to get certain types of Pokemon. To make this work, you have to have it running on your phone. You tell it that you're going to sleep now. You need to then leave it on your bed. You can't leave it on a flat surface, so it needs to be on the bed, like behind your pillow type of area.
Okay.
Because I guess it's using the microphone to like measure movement as well as sound. So if it's on like your table next to your bed, it's not going to work. To get a full score, you need to get at least 8.5 hours of sleep a night, or 11 hours for a kid. That's news to me. I thought we were meant to get 8 hours sleep, but Nintendo telling us 8.5 is doctor recommended. So that's what you need for an ultimate score. And then it tells you when you wake up in the morning, you get it, and you're like, I'm waking up now, and it gives you a proper kind of little like a sleeping app. Like it gives you your whole night's sleep, and when you were restful, when you were just lightly sleeping, when you're in a deep sleep. And when my alarm went off this morning, the phone was on the ground, and the tracking had kind of you up and down, and it was like you're in a light sleep, a deep sleep, and then at 3 a.m. it plummeted and then flatlined at deep sleep. I'm going to assume that's when it fell on the ground, or I died. Very deep sleep. So it told me I did really well. I did amazingly well because I had like your normal kind of in and out, up and down sleeping between like 11 and 3, and then from 3 till 6:30, I was out full dead sleep. I think that's because the tracking wasn't working, but it thinks it was sleeping.
So you can cheat and just leave it on the bedside table the entire night, and
of course,
okay. Or you're me, and I sleep like
properly.
an idiot, and I will toss and turn all night and probably get like 3 hours of actual sleep a night. So I guess I'm just destined to fail. You. Oh, good.
I think I sleep like that too, and it does show you like the up and downs of when I'm pretty sure you're kind of waking up and then falling asleep a bit and waking up again. Like if you're actually interested in knowing that, it does seem to track it properly. And there is the little accessory thing, the Go Plus or something, if you don't want the phone on the bed. So you could do that instead. Because you need to leave like your phone on, so it's like make sure it's plugged in or it's going to go flat. So it's a little awkward.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that it's really kid safe in that aren't most people kind of saying don't
have your phone
let your kid have a phone in the bedroom because it's bad for your sleep, and this is meant to be good for your sleep, but it's the phone in the bed. So that's the thing. I don't think it's going to be the next.
What kid has a phone? Like, how old do you have to be to have a phone? Like 10 or something at least.
Every
surely.
kid has a phone.
Oh, okay.
Well, probably, but every kid has a phone, I would have thought.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe that's why
we don't know the kids.
They want you to buy the Go. What is it?
Yeah,
like
probably.
A bracelet or like a clip-on thing? What is it?
Not a fact-based show. Something like that. Yeah. It's a thing. It's an accessory.
I like wearing a smartwatch, but I don't wear a smartwatch to bed because I kind of sleep on my arms and stuff, and it hurts. Like, why would you
charge
do that?
It, right?
Well, that too. That's
like
exactly when I do charge it. You're right. It goes off and goes on the charger beside the bed, which I guess could then track my noise to tell me if I slept or not. But I don't care because I don't want to know. I think if I found out I slept like a piddly amount of hours per night, I would just be more depressed and tired upon receiving the knowledge. But that's just me.
Well, I slept pretty poorly until I apparently slept excellently. Look, I'm probably not going to continue with this. The gamified part isn't that exciting to me. They're trying to like recapture Pokemon Go, is what I can tell. They've gone for something very mainstream. They're trying to like just have a mobile app which is Pokemon themed, and you collect Pokemon, and it's very much you should play like every day. Make sure you do it constantly. That's how you get a good score. But I just can't see it getting anywhere near Pokemon Go's like mainstream kind of accessibility and craze, and it's just a bit too awkward. Like if it worked on your like next to your bed, you didn't have to have it on the bed. You could just kind of set it, or you could have it automatically start tracking you at X time to whatever time. Maybe people would do it. Like, but the fact you have to have it on the bed, you have to go into it every day and say I'm sleeping now and I'm awake now. Like it's too awkward and too much.
Yeah. Well, and how do you do remote raids? That's my Pokemon Go joke. Also, like I read that Niantic's like also now. I don't think they make Pokemon sleep, but there's allegations of like really, really toxic workplace environments going on, and they just laid off like 200 people. Not a fact-based show and nothing to do with Pokemon sleep, but there you go. In case
maybe
you wanted
they didn't do this.
Half a headline. There's half the headline for you. It's admittedly a bit of a slow. Anything else you want to talk about Pokemon sleep before I keep us going?
No, it's already a bit sleepy, so yep, that's it.
It's out. Well, get 8.5 hours of sleep or 11 hours. I guess it's a new app. It's considered a child. There's not a lot going on, to be perfectly honest, so we're digging into something that I hate talking about, to be perfectly honest, but we're running low on topics. So we've had a whole bunch of updates in terms of Microsoft's planned Activision Blizzard acquisition. The FTC was trying to stall, I guess. Everything is the easiest way to put it. They had a judge decide if the FTC was right or if Microsoft was right. this is not a fact-based show. This is me trying to dumb it down. Microsoft came out on top, so they are free to acquire Activision Blizzard in the States. There's still the hurdle of the UK's Competition and Markets Authority, the CMA. That's they're not appealing now. They being Microsoft, that they're now willing to negotiate with the CMA. Probably, armed with the knowledge that the U.S. says it's okay. So can we play in your country? What do you make of all of this? Did I summarize it well enough?
Yeah, basically, I think the only thing missing is there's like a firm decision date of the 18th of July, right? So as of this episode coming out, it's about a week away. And so there's a chance for the FTC to appeal in that window, I think. It doesn't sound like they will, because they've kind of done their job already. I think they see themselves as kind of willing to lose in court. It's very much just awareness raising and making sure they hold Microsoft accountable and all that stuff. And they never really thought they'd win.
Yeah. Well, and they got like the 10-year agreements to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation and on Nintendo, even though it's not on Nintendo at this stage. So like they did get some wins there.
Absolutely. I would say that it'll go through in the UK relatively soon as well. The fact that it's gone through in America, or essentially gone through, and that they're not going to litigation, they're just going to negotiate a deal, basically. They were far less concerned. So in the US, it was all about Call of Duty, basically. It kind of boiled down to that, and people and judges and lawyers not really understanding what COD is or understanding what Nintendo Switch is. I think in the UK, it was more around cloud gaming and not wanting Microsoft to kind of step in and do a Netflix or a Disney and just suddenly own the whole market, even though they've allowed Disney to do that for streaming and entertainment, really.
Yeah.
And I think Microsoft's been pretty open with cloud stuff. Like, they'll probably just need to make a little bit more of a concession somewhere. They've already given like NVIDIA and some other cloud streaming companies access to stuff. So I think they'll get through that pretty easily. And this will happen relatively soon. So the big thing is, when are we getting a COD on not Switch, probably Switch 2? Like, when they say 10 years, is it 10 years like from now, or is it 10 years from when the first one can actually be developed for the Nintendo platform, which we're going to assume is at least 2-3 years away? They wouldn't be working on one now. And is that when the 10 years starts, or is it kind of just when the contract starts? All that stuff is probably to be played out. But yeah, we learned some interesting stuff. We probably saw a bit more of the real Phil Spencer and Jim Ryan publicly in some of their comments. They both seem like kind of very loving themselves, high-level, powerful CEOs, as you would expect.
Yep.
And very much just pushing what they think is going to work for their company, not necessarily what's going to be best for the industry, both of them, I'd say. So an interesting insight.
Well, and it even extended as far as to Bethesda, with like Pete Hines and the like being like, well, oh, cool. So they're Microsoft saying that they're going to acquire Activision and not, make these games platform exclusive. So what the hell are we doing with Starfield and with all these other games? But it's been such a weird, like, it's stuff that I think that if you thought about it, you would understand is happening with all these execs. Like, they're definitely saying one thing behind closed doors and another thing out to the public. But it's just,
makes perfect sense.
It's just so weird with all of Bethesda's games. Like, we spent good money on those. They're going to be platform exclusive. Why did we spend money on these things otherwise? But then, I don't know, like, even with the Call of Duty, I think that it's different from a Bethesda game. I think Call of Duty has that kind of sale power that, like a Minecraft, like, Microsoft probably would be stupid to try to, like, it's not going to sell Xboxes. I don't think there's the diehard fans that would feel like they needed to buy an Xbox to play Call of Duty. Like, more likely than not, they just get a PC if they didn't already have one. Like, it's not really going to benefit Microsoft to the same way, like, Starfield on Xbox might. But the same thing with the PCs there. It's such a weird... I'm glad I'm not a business person to that degree to have to worry about all of that kind of stuff. It seems like a headache.
COD is entirely for Game Pass, so I think they're actually genuinely happy to have it on other platforms because they get more players. Like, it's a game that needs to stay active. It's now full cross-play, so you just by default play across all platforms anyway. So it's in their best interest to have like hundreds of millions of players every year. And because it's annual, if people will just keep a Game Pass subscription because it's the same price as buying COD every year, and you're getting the new version every year, and you'll probably find a few other things you'll play alongside it. So I think they're probably very happy with how that ended up shaking out. Even though they didn't want to give Sony a 10-year deal, I think they didn't really mind. Like, yeah, it's worked out in their favor. I think it's probably Activision hasn't. We've talked about this before. Activision hasn't been run that well, so it's probably good to get some change and some different leadership there potentially, and maybe some of their like dead franchises will come back to life, and there'll be some positive there. Xbox needs some new stuff, so to bring back like they briefly brought back Tony Hawk and Crash Bandicoot with some good games, and then they just like, nope, we're done with that. So hopefully even those get revived and maybe some older stuff as well. Let's just get it done. Like sign it off, sign it over. Let's just do it.
Well, and like in the worst case scenario, I guess that, you know, like if Microsoft can't sort out what it's doing with the CMA in the UK, they just pull. I don't know. This is where I used to know more about it, but I'm so bored of all this. I have fallen off. Either Microsoft has to pull out of the UK entirely and just have like an office in France or something that kind of caters to the UK, or they at least pull out the Xbox. And I would have to be Azure and cloud and stuff. I don't know. That's the thing. So like they can still sell games in the UK, but also just kind of like take their ball and leave at the same kind of time. And I don't think the UK... Well, I don't know. Again, not a business person, not a fact-based show. I don't think the UK... If they're approved to go in the US, that's the primary concern. And, like, Canada's going to fall behind whatever the US decided. So, like, in most of the major markets... Not like Canada's a major market. But in most of these major markets, you know, they're good to go. So if they have to, like, do something to get around the UK, I think they're prepared to do that. It's not going to hold up the acquisition. So
UK will follow. This will set the precedent. So now Sony will come out and they'll say we're buying Square Enix or whatever, and it will be all fine because basically, as long as your deal is smaller than Activision Blizzard, it'll go through no problems, and we'll probably end up with Sony and Xbox owning like a bunch of publishers. And Sony haven't done that yet. They've bought a bunch of developers, but they haven't bought a publisher yet. So I'm sure they will. They basically own Square Enix.
They're not buying the developer, but they're paying to keep Final Fantasy 16 on PlayStation. So yeah, like it's apples or oranges. It's the same kind of outcomes. So I don't know if that's good or bad, and we could probably spend an hour talking about that. But let's not do that. Let's not do that tonight.
Let's leave it with it. We think we know the outcome, but it's still not official. So I suppose we could be talking about this in months. I'm pretty sure this is the first week in a long time. There's nothing in delays, unless it's something's been delayed that I didn't even know was delayed, because there's nothing coming out at the moment. So nothing to report in our only regular segment. I was going to say only useful segment. Probably our only useful segment as well. That's true.
Definitely.
So on that note, Steve, do we find you on Threads now?
Yeah, same as my Instagram, SRightAU. I don't know. What do you think about it? It's too inspirational quote for me right now. I don't like it. I don't like Twitter either. I'm happy being off both.
Reminds me of those other dud ones that failed immediately, Hive and the other one. It's just, I'm on there. I can't delete it now because you have to delete your Instagram to delete your Threads. I don't even use Instagram that often, so I don't know. It's more likely to succeed because you don't have to come up with a whole new social handle and all your followers just automatically happen again. Like, that's easier, but I can't be bothered doing a new thing.
Yeah, well, and I'm a completely vain person, and I follow people on Instagram usually for like aesthetic appeal. And no offense to these, no, they're not listening. No offense to these really pretty people that I like looking at photos of on Instagram. I don't care about the thoughts bouncing around in your head. So, and it's hard to even get to the thoughts of the people that you follow anyway. Like, I don't need to see what Ellen DeGeneres is thinking about something or what Kim Kardashian had for lunch or whatever. Like, when it gets a little bit.
That's true.
More refined in what I want it to be, like a proper Twitter replacement. Like, not that it's really ever going to be that, but
I don't think it will.
Closer to that, maybe would be nice.
I mainly follow people on Instagram who I actually know, and Twitter's a lot of like various media outlets and people that I've met at some point in various games journo capacities and like very game centric, and often getting news from that is why I used it. And so it was kind of a different channel than my actual life. So I don't know, the equivalent of that coming from Instagram now being in Twitter format doesn't really work for me. It's not the type of content I'm looking for in a 140 character, what's it called, a thread? Is it a tweet? It's not a tweet. It's a
I don't know.
Whatever it's called, whatever Zuck's called it. Whatever. Well, you can find me there too, I guess. Do or don't. I'm not really there. That's us.